So the year of 2013 in gaming has come to a close for players everywhere. How was it? Well, as far as transitional years between generations, 2013 was among the best, with some ambitious reboots, revivals of great series, and phenomenal new series and indie games to boot. It was a good year, but not one of the best. That said, this year I've decided to honor the titles that highlighted the best that 2013 had to offer in my very first video game award show. Also, the VGX sucked, and even I know I can do better. So, suit up and enjoy the CAD's Video Game Awards show for 2013. Biggest news story. If there is one thing that 2013 was full of, it was a lot of big headlines and shocking news stories. The Colonial Marines debacle, Nintendo's Let's Play claimed, the Remember Me publisher controversy, the list goes on. I could make an entire countdown of all the news stories of 2013, but like the Highlander once said,
there can be only one.
And the award for biggest news story of 2013 goes to the Xbox One. The most controversial and hated news story to come out of the industry, the Xbox One debacle takes the biggest news story award for 2013 by a landslide. Since the very day it was announced, Microsoft's next generation console was riddled with issues for the gaming community and consumers alike. Draconian DRM, restrictions on used games, and a focus on the Xbox One being more about TV than it was about actual games, to say nothing on spying on you with Kinect and selling your information off, was more than a touch pathetic to see. What followed the original announcement was weeks upon weeks of rage from the gaming community against the next Xbox console, petitions formed in the hopes of preventing such restrictions from ever reaching the console market. But those were quickly met with a harsh response, one which was even more rage-inducing.
Fortunately, we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Rather than responding to these criticisms and explaining the positives the console offered, Microsoft continued to dig their own grave by essentially telling their loyal customers and supporters that they weren't going to respect their legal right to first-hand sales and continue with the goal they began with the Xbox One. Complete restriction over what their customers could do.
So there's a lot of different options. We've talked about
you guys also have the option to disable. I know it's very simple to disable the 24-hour check-in and the one.
Do you? Are you on the development team?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
on the
so I
development
think that's a little bold of you to say it's simple.
Well, I'm pretty sure that you guys you're building the infrastructure.
For the record, they changed their stance, or as some would put it, made a 180 mere days after this interview. But it makes you wonder why they would implement such draconian DRM that treats the customer like a criminal to begin with. Oh well, guess there's nothing to worry about anymore.
Man, you must get demoralized in this game, man. Especially during counter breakers, you probably just want to freaking cry and go kill yourself. Yo. Anyways. Oh no, X-Bone. X-Bone, what happened? Yo, what happened?
Or maybe we are, quite literally, boned by the Xbox One. Best visuals. As the next generation of consoles have come full circle, we leave the 7th generation with some breathtaking visuals and wonderful looking titles. This award goes to the game not pushing the most polygons, but the one with the most visually appealing artistic design. And the award for Best Visuals of 2013 goes to Dragon's Crown. The character designs may not be for everyone, but no one can deny how much detail was put into every single frame of this gorgeous Atlas and Vanillaware beat-em-up. The watercolor painting design of the game bleeds out with the smallest movement, like a painting that came to life. Smooth animations and exaggerated character designs complement the fantastic rendition of a fantasy realm in Dragon's Crown, the winner of the Best Visuals for 2013. Best Indie Game. Another strong year for indie developers, it was also one of the strangest ones ever. How strange? Well, let me begin by announcing the winner of the Best Indie Game of 2013. And the winner for Best Indie Game of 2013 goes to SteamWorld Dig. SteamWorld Dig was a title that came out of nowhere. It had little to no publicity and came from a Swedish studio that no one had ever heard of. And yet, it managed to top the eShop in every major country by mere word of mouth, knocking down big name titles like Animal Crossing New Leaf off the top spot on the eShop. On top of that, it's a solid game too, a Western-style Metroid with Dig Dug running through its veins. I've covered this title already in my review, so if you want more details you can check that out. All that's left to say is SteamWorld Dig is definitely a title worth digging into. Most disappointing game. Like I said, 2013 was a good year for games, but it was filled with a lot, and I do mean a lot, of disappointing releases. And while Alien Colonial Marines may take the cake for a lot of people, no game company has disappointed me more so than you know who. The winner for most disappointing game of 2013 is Harmonite. Harmonite is many things: adorable, charming, expensive, and among other things, a huge letdown. It's a monotonous one-button masher of a side-scrolling platformer with little originality and a price tag that makes Richie's revenge blush, one which I was far too kind in my initial review. As a platformer, its creative worlds only go so far in distracting you from its uncreative levels. As a rhythm title, its music is so weak and forgettable that they had to bring in music from the Pokémon series just to say that they had some worthwhile tunes to listen to. This overpriced piece of a musical mess isn't even worth the paper the music was originally wrote on. But, to its credit, it's not as bad as Worst Game of the Year. Now, let me clarify by saying that these awards are given to games that I have played. That means the likes of All the Bravest, Ride to Hell, and so forth are spared because not only do you know they all suck, but because we know they suck, we can avoid them and make better purchases and support games and developers and publishers that are worth playing and supporting. This award is given not to the biggest overall failure, but to the one that is the least deserving of any of your support. And the award for Worst Game of 2013 goes to Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate. Never have I come out of a game so depressed, so drained, so mind-numbingly insulted by this piece of electronic pus I had to suffer through. To call this a Castlevania game would be an insult to the dragon himself. Even the rebooted Lord of Shadow series stepped to the side, embarrassed by how awful this game was. This is a disgrace, a confused, monotonous button masher that attempts to mask itself as a fourth-rate Metroidvania title with an overabundance of quick-time events and one of the most pathetic endings I have ever seen to conclude a story. Top that off with graphics that are too dark to see, terrible controls, and a horrendously bland soundtrack, and voila! You have the game that wins the award for my worst game of 2013. But from the bad, we must look at the good. From Yang to Yin.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
My award for 2013's Game of the Year goes to Fire Emblem Awakening. Look, I tried. I really tried to pick something less obvious. I really did. Shin Megami Tensei 4 made a very compelling argument, and had I finished something like Ni no Kuni or The Last of Us, it might have turned out differently. But for all its faults, and in spite of the strong competition the 3DS had in the past 12 months, Fire Emblem Awakening came out as the most enjoyable gaming experience that I've had all year. I cannot believe how many hours I've poured into this game, trying to carefully plan out every battle, and exploring this grand cast of fantastic new characters. Its story may not be as good as previous entries, and some maps could have been much more well thought out, but it makes up for these faults with some of the best new additions in series history, and celebrating everything great that is Fire Emblem, tactful strategy, and impeccably memorable characters. This game didn't just revitalize the series' popularity, it revitalized my own interest in a franchise that hadn't seen a new release in over 4 years reach the West. It may have been long in the waiting for localization, it may have been mishandled by Nintendo, but it was dang well worth it. Fire Emblem Awakening fully deserves my award for 2013's Game of the Year. That's all for this year's award ceremony. I hope you enjoyed it. Disagree with some of the winners? What awards would you have given out? Let me know what you think. Who knows, maybe we'll do this next year. Until next time, game on, my friends.